All right. Are we live? Hey, everybody. Welcome to my first attempt at a podcast. Right now, we're just going to, I just have a little game on right now while I wait for everything to sort of start up, make sure everything's good to go. Actually, let me, make sure my audio levels are okay. All right. I think it's looking good. Oh. Hey, eat it. Alright. The sound might be a little loud for the game, but that should be fine. Actually, maybe I should decrease the sound. Maybe I should decrease the comp sound. That way it's not blowing you out when I do watch some videos. Go. There we go. This is my first attempt at it, so it's like... It may not be 100%, yeah, some 2023 setup, man. Hey, what's up, Swerve? Alex, whoever you want. It's always weird to read someone else's name, but like, you know their actual name or handle. And it all kind of depends on when you meet them first, what they're using. All right. Let's see. I play a little more and then I'll get started in like a minute. I don't want to waste anybody's time. It also feels like weird not to. Maybe I should have like a launch screen. Would that be like something people do? This is Blue Revolver, by the way. Very, very fun game. Been really enjoying these styles of game lately. Lots of action. This out games. Yeah. Call me anything but late for dinner. Classic joke. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna be talking about the Video Game Awards. A lot of new trailers dropped for it. It's actually pretty funny. There's, you know, plenty of controversy surrounding it, too. Which I think is hilarious. In a sort of sick way. In some ways, you just kind of have to laugh at it. Or you'll cry about it. And that's no fun. Alright, we wipe this dude out. Let's go. Let's get into it. Let's get into the podcast. My attempt to add a podcast. Alright. Bring my notes up here. So. First, we'll start off Video Game Awards. Biggest. This is an article from Bloomberg. Biggest Video Game Awards ceremony is heavy on promotion, light on awards. If you didn't expect it, Baldur's Gate took home the top prize of this year's Video Game Awards. The Game Awards, although there wasn't much time to celebrate. Like the rest of the award winners, director Schwinn Vicky was given just 30 seconds to speak. The shortened time appeared to be a direct response to last year's show, in which God of War actor Chris Judge delivered a rambling 8-minute speech that stretched out the entire ceremony. But the limit this year led to some awkward moments, such as speakers such as Sam Lake, the director of Alan Wake 2, which won Best Narrative, were hurried off the stage before they could even thank their co-workers. In contrast, other major award ceremonies, the Game Award is largely consumed with announcements for future video games. That's like the tons of trailers, tons of world premieres. They showed 31 awards, many of them including Best RPG and Best Multiplayer, were quickly rattled off by the host and creator Geoff Knightley, rather than presented to the winners. And of course, they had giant, beyond this, they had big, like, 6-minute segments featuring Hideo Kojima and Jordan Peele. We'll go into their trailer a little later. It was awful. It is one of the worst video game trailers I've ever seen, but definitely something I expected from Hideo Kojima. Yep. So we ran out of time trying to squeeze poignant words. Yeah. So basically, like, it's world premieres, it's corporate shilling. This is a graph that they put out, which I think is actually quite funny. 82% trailers, 18% awards. So this is the video game awards. And what could be like a better display of how video games are today when it's honoring the creatives that make the games happen versus shilling sales and marketing. That is what video games are today. 80% shilling, marketing, business crap, 18% actual creative. It's a sad state of games today, but I mean, this is what you expect from an awards ceremony. Also, another thing is that this was a funny story that was showing up last week, but the Game Awards Future Class. So Geoff, a few years back, you know, when it was super popular to be SJW, you know, in the culture war, you had things like BML and that stuff. He created a special class to push diversity and inclusion. And what would you know? But almost all the Future Class wanted them to make a statement about Gaza this year. And sadly, hi Jack, how's it going? And sadly, the Video Game Awards decided that they weren't going to push Gaza. Crazy, I know. And the as you can see from the graphs, that they didn't manage to find time to squeeze that in. Of course, anything about Gaza might get a few other people mad, but it's a funny worth mentioning because I thought how this sort of social justice push kind of backfires all of a sudden when you have two different groups opposed to each other that both have a lot of cred, and of course, certain groups control a lot of the media and some powerful positions in society. I'm not going to say which group, but it might get you in trouble. So all of a sudden, when it becomes inconvenient, it just suddenly disappears. Funny how that works. Next up, we got Bungie. It's another developer that is once powerful. I remember in college, we go over to like the student union, this sort of like dorm area, and people would have these projectors set up, and on these projectors, there'd be Halo, the hottest game at the time. Multiplayer, every dude bro loved Halo, and even I liked Halo too. It was a great game. I mean, I don't know if I liked it quite as much as GoldenEye, but it was awesome. We just had these set up, 4 people on one projector, 4 people on another. We'd be playing these multiplayer games, Halo tournaments. Yeah, man, it was a blast. And, you know, it seems, you know, at that time, you know, how could Bungie be beaten when they had the hottest multiplayer game ever made? But as you might know, things started to fall off. Call of Duty came into existence, and it seemed to just sort of kill off a lot of the hype for Halo. Arena shooters, as much as I loved them, started to become a thing of the past as everything had to level up. And now Bungie, which is, I think, right now really banking on Destiny. I think I moved away from Microsoft a while ago, but 1 month after a major round of layoffs, impacting roughly 100 Bungie employees, 1,200 of those remaining at Destiny developers, says the cuts, as well as other cost-cutting measures, come alongside an apparent scramble by studio leadership to avoid a total Sony takeover. So right now, basically the board is consistent of half and half Sony, Bungie, and if they don't make certain goals, they are at a risk for takeover from Sony. Essentially, like if Bungie doesn't hit their goals, they're going to be sort of absorbed by Sony. I think that's one of their stipulations of their acquisition. Let's see. Exact details of Sony to acquire Bungie remain unknown to the public or employees. Sources says They're told by leaders that the current board split is contingent on Bungie meeting certain financial goals. If Bungie falls short of certain financial thresholds by too great an amount, Sony is allowed to dissolve the existing board and take control of the company. So, man, Bungie might almost cease to exist as an independent entity. It's one thing I found was funny is right down here. What's more, Sword has pointed out that Bungie employees that were laid off were beloved community leaders within the studio, including many who had spearheaded employee inclusion and support efforts. Several people we spoke to expressed anger at the layoffs. Bungie General Counsel Don McGowan played a key role in Bungie winning a historical suit against a player who harassed a Bungie developer. Others laid off include notable members of Bungie's DE&I clubs, including the head of Pride Bungie, Women at Bungie, Accessibility at Bungie. When combined with recent resource cuts, these dismissals have led to fears the clubs might shut down. While researching the article, IGN noted that the public news article announcing Women at Bungie and Accessibility at Bungie on the official blog is no longer accessible. I'm angry, upset. This isn't what I came here to do, one person said. The likes higher-ups aren't listening to the data and are like, we just need to win our fans back. They still like us. No, they don't. We got rid of some of the most knowledgeable, beloved folks the past 20 years. Every day I walk in, I'm afraid that my friends are next. No one is safe. It's funny how like women, pride, women, and accessibility seem to go first. I don't know if that's a sign. One of the reasons Bungie's not doing so well, but they are having a hard time. I think some delays with Destiny, and I think they're also trying to get Marathon going, a project they've been working on forever. But it's, again, sad to see these legacy developers that were once, seeming unstoppable, just circling the drain. And probably in 2 or 3 years, they probably will fall. Now, let's move on. There was a thing from the trailer. This was the worst trailer I've seen. I'll turn this on. This is from Hideo Kojima and Jordan Peele. Let me see if this is... Let me know if this is too loud. I'll turn this down a little bit. Oh, I can turn this down here. Now, aren't you already captured by this lady saying ridiculous crap? This is clearly a game for smart people. She seems upset about something. Ooh. Oh wow, it's got credits. Look out, guys, there's a jump scare happening. Don't get scared here. I just want to see a Hideo Kojima movie. Overdose. I gotta say something. I hate Hideo Kojima. I mean, I'm sure Metal Gear Solid, great games, seem very well made, very fun. I don't play them myself, but ever since I saw him mention that he wanted to make movies rather than video games, and you can see it right now in trailers like this, and the whole putting his name in front of it, these I mean, you can see the credits like it is a movie. This is like a movie rather than a video game trailer. Zero video game footage, which I mean isn't that uncommon for most trailers, but people's celebrity names in it. Does anyone give a shit about this? It's so anti-video game. There's just something about it that really irks me. I don't want to watch a movie. I want to watch video game. I want to play a video game. Something like that video game art debate, or video games are who cares? I don't want art. I want a video game. I want to play. I think games that try to be art usually end up being bad as video games. I don't know if they're 100% opposed to each other, but they tend to be. The goals tend to be different. That is this Hideo Kojima's new game that looks... I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Is it like a psychological thriller or something? Who knows? Oh, it looks awful. Let's move on from this abomination, and we'll have a new story. This is actually Twitch is ending their business in Korea. Understand extremely disappointing news. The cost of operation for Twitch in Korea is prohibitively expensive. There's been significant working to reduce these costs to find a way, but they are shutting down. Apparently, in Korea, they're charged network fees. Hey, good morning, Deborah. And they can't keep up with it. Apparently, things like Google, Netflix, YouTube, like they have to help pay for the bandwidth they use. And this is making it financially unviable for Twitch. I actually don't think they're the biggest streamer in Korea. And I think that's one of the reasons they might have shut down. They just can't make enough money there. But this is interesting and might hurt Korea in the long run. I don't know. The more like competition you move out, the worse things could get, especially with these fees. Like we have like, I think it's like called like a right-of-way fees for like internet service providers. I think it's one of the reasons that you have so little competition with ISPs in the area. So this could, several years down the line, ultimately hurt Korea pretty bad, but Twitch is gone. Kind of interesting story. But let's move on. This is a short aside. We got a big news, huge news. I'm not going to have sound for this because I don't want to copyright strike on the music. This was kind of the biggest news of the week. The Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer came out, starring a female protagonist. She's in there for bad luck. And people are freaking out about this. One of the highly anticipated games of this year, and it's set in Vice City. This is kind of, a lot of these are familiar to me. I don't literally live in Miami, but I've been to Miami a few times. And of course, being from South Florida, I have this place is actually quite familiar, especially the places on the outside of it. Vice City. I enjoyed Vice City. I played quite a bit. And we have these, is apparently, a lot of these things are based off actual news stories from Florida. I mean, we have some weird people in Florida. You might know. Lady with a hammer. Florida Joker. It's about family, all right? Oh, wait.
Trust.
I'm actually kind of worried that there's going to be like some romance and stuff. Like, I don't know if that's going to be all that fun, but coming 2025, you've got almost like a full 2 years year and probably a half to wait to get Grand Theft Auto 5. But let's take a look at some of the reactions for it. This is all so tiresome. Apparently, this guy's more like kind of like a right-wing shit poster, I'd say. Also tiresome. Apparently, all the black people are going to are annoying him, which is kind of bizarre because it's Grand Theft Auto. It's about crime. It seems that they show up quite a bit. I've been to Miami. I've never seen that many. It's mostly like Cuban, Hispanic, but apparently they like to visit down there. I don't think it's uncommon or bizarre to see that many people. Hey, Ryan, what's up? Then we got some other reactions, seeing if this was 90s, 10s era, you would have 3 smoking hot girls in the middle of the shot. We know this is a conscious decision to put mids because it's respectful. This is another like insane take for some of these people on the right. The idea that like they should have put hot girls in it. Honestly, I think Grand Theft Auto really is just about showing the sort of like ugly side of society and reality and sort of the excesses. So having, fat, chubby girls on the beach is, I mean, that's exactly what you're going to see. Really, if you go to any beach in Florida, it's just not just the way things are. If this was the 90s, 10s era, you might actually have hot girls on the beach. But this is 2023, and that no longer exists in either of the games. And of course, we had Elon Musk with this great thing, like tried, but it didn't like doing crime. GTA 5 required shooting police officers in the opening scene. I just couldn't do it. Oh, Elon. Too bad I like Justin Wang's reply to this, but it's the same. I couldn't get what's his name? Chong's reply to it was hilarious as well, where he has to like suck up to Elon at every given opportunity. But the idea that I don't like shooting cops in a GTA game is pretty funny. People virtue signaling about that. I've always enjoyed shooting police officers, not because I have anything against police officers, but they're sort of the physical embodiment of the law itself, and it's just fun to do that, to take them out. That's the whole like point of it. Of course, we have Tate, not.
New GTA 6 is out.
Andrew doesn't really mention it.
Question. I've never played any of them.
I believe really important.
It's really just Tristan Tate talking about
video games aren't necessarily evil. But you know, I remember when video games.
He's going to make an analogy about Mario Brothers.
I remember when you used to play a little man in a red hat trying to rescue a princess.
I'm surprised. I don't really hear Tristan talk that much. He talks a lot like Andrew.
Rescuing purity from evil while teaming up for your brother isn't a good.
They're just like the Super Mario Brothers Tates. They're rescuing purity from evil. This is also people that entrapped women in a compound. But they're just like Super Mario Brothers, you know? An analogy for that, but I'm not going to go on to it. 21. I mean, obviously, young people probably shouldn't play Grand Theft Auto games, but I think that's kind of been worked out that at least I assume most people are like literate enough about media now. I mean, people like me that grew up playing video games are like 30s, 40s by now. If they're having kids, they should kind of understand that, hey, there's violence in video games. Grand Theft Auto might be a bad game for you to let your young children play. So I'm all for parents not giving their kids violent media with adult themes. That's perfectly fine, but yeah, I don't know the 18 to 21 and the whole like I don't get the cop thing again. Like maybe people will just take media too literally, and they don't get the fact that that it's really just about hating society or like sort of like the satisfying your dark urges on society. Like this guy gets it. Like 100 miles an hour straight through this beach in GTA 6. That's what I'm looking most forward to, and that's the fun of GTA. I've never actually really played a lot of Grand Theft Autos. Like they're fun to mess around with, but I don't find the actual like missions and the story modes really that entertaining. But like this is exactly what I love to do. Like just a beach, a bunch of people, a bunch of fat ugly people like brrr, that little dog, run that little dog over too. I'm all for it. People are like, "Oh, don't run over the dog." Like, nah. I want to run over the damn dog. Everybody gets mowed down. And that's just fun. Just fun to do that, you know? Sometimes you just have those intrusive thoughts about, man, wouldn't it be fun to just go, plow down stuff? I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's perfectly normal urge to have, in my opinion. And it's fun. It's fun to live it out. And that's really the healthy way to enjoy Grand Theft Auto. Just enjoy the carnage and the sort of, as you sort of live your dark fantasies about, I don't know, freeing yourself from the shackles of society that constantly restricting you more and more. Let's move on from the sort of insanity that is Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer. This is obviously, it's so funny to see people trying to like stretch out more content out of this, even though it's not coming out till 2025. But I'm sure there'll be more and more news articles about Grand Theft Auto. We're actually going to get into the actual topic I wanted to discuss, but first we got 2 trailers to watch. This one was Sega. Let me skip this. This is like they had like an entire minute and then 30 seconds of actual gameplay footage. Got Jet Set Radio. This is Streets of Rage. Shinobi. Golden Axe. Crazy Taxi. And more. Sega trying to like find a sort of renaissance in after being kind of like really making some garbage games for the past several years. With the success of Sonic, they've kind of seeing a lot of extra money and attention, and they're going to try and capitalize it with some new games. The other big trailer I saw, which I wanted to talk about, is Visions of Mana. This one came out, and it's going to be kind of related to what I'm going to talk about. A lot of it's relatively pretty. I loved Secret of Mana when I was a kid. Let me turn this down. Playing it on the Super Nintendo, one of my favorite RPGs on the system. And that system had a lot of good RPGs. Got some classic enemies there, that Mantis. You could probably recognize it if you played Secret of Mana. It's one of the first bosses you fight. Got the Tree of Mana there. Pretty cool looking. Visions of Mana. But this brings me to like one of the things, what the nostalgia for a lot of these games really is for the 2-dimensional versions of it. Like when I see like the combat in this game, like to me this just doesn't look that exciting. Like a lot of this looks like you look at this area, this looks so much like, you know, the Tears of the Kingdom Genshin Impact stuff that's I've seen for several years. Just keeps being like duplicated more and more. I don't know if these are like Unreal assets or something that keep being reused, but a lot of it looks a lot like that. And then we got combat here, which like this entire combat, this 3D combat is him like jumping over stuff. Like that's it. Double jumping over stuff. You got this guy like, oh, here's some AoE that you need to run around. Run to the right side to dodge. Like, oof, that's exciting. And then do some weird combo attack. I don't know. I mean, it looks impressive, but to me, like, it just looks the gameplay itself does not look exciting. And I mean, when you look at some of the old like Mana, Secret of Mana, you know, some of those places had such, you know, comfy areas. Like this just doesn't quite do it for me. Like it just looks too much like everything else I've seen. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but like you'd see this in like Tears of the Kingdom, or you know, like some sort of MiHoYo variant. I mean, it looks pretty. That's the thing. It's well done. You look at the details, a lot of nice details. It's a pretty game, but just doesn't quite hit the same as the old pixel graphics from my youth. And that's the same issue with I have with this trailer here. Let's see now. Let's see. Here. I don't play Jet Set Radio, so I don't really care about Jet Set Radio. Let me turn this up. But like Streets of Rage, they made this 3D. They just had a successful like 2D beat 'em up version of this game that was well received. And so I'm really surprised that they decided to go 3D, because that's a completely different game when you go from like a 2D beat 'em up to a 3D beat 'em up. Shinobi looked quite good. I like the graphics here. This is probably the only like 2D game here, but I've never really played Shinobi. The Golden Axe thing was another one. I'm like, why make this 3D? I don't really see the point in it. Like I don't never found 3D, like, I don't even know what you call beat 'em ups, like action games. Like the classic 2D beat 'em up is like what you have nostalgia for, not necessarily these 2D beat 'em ups. And then when you look here at Crazy Taxi, I'm actually excited for. Like it always was a 3D game, and I quite enjoyed it. We'll see what they do with it. But Crazy Taxi, like I said, I'm hyped for. Streets of Rage and Golden Axe, like I like the games when they first came out, but I just don't see how they're going to be fun. They just look kind of generic, and they don't quite recapture exactly, like, you know, when you have like nostalgia for some of these old games, they don't really capture it this way. So, you know, I just don't see why they wouldn't go with like more like an old school feel to it. Maybe they're trying to like remake it or revision it, but that's actually one of the things that's really hurt Sega in the modern day is like things like Sonic. Like I don't think Sonic ever really did that well when it went to 3D. Like I enjoyed Sonic Adventure 1 and 2, but beyond that, they haven't been as good as, say, like Sonic, you know, the originals, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles. Like I like that gameplay far more than anything they came out with afterwards. I mean, when you not to compare it to Mario, but that's always been his sort of rival. Mario in 3D has done much, much better than Sonic in 3D. Like it's a different type of game than the 2D Marios, but it's its own thing, and it's good in that way too. When Sonic went to 3D, I don't understand, like they just were never able to recapture what they had or like kind of convert that spirit to 3D. I haven't played Sonic Frontier. It didn't look that fun. It looked kind of like empty. But yeah, it's sad. It's sad to see, because I really enjoyed Sonic. And they kind of, when they were still making games on the Dreamcast, when they still had their system, it seemed like they really were putting more effort into these games. And we'll see. Like maybe this will be a renaissance for Sega. Maybe they will be able to sort of make games that feel like they've actually put some effort into it. Actually, like really nailed down some of these details, because honestly, like a lot of like the Sega games I played since then, Sonic Heroes, even stuff like Sonic Generations, like I just felt like this wasn't like a flagship company, you know, like a game, the AAA style game, maybe like AA. But they just never recovered from the loss of the Dreamcast. And we'll see. Maybe this is their time. Maybe this is their time. Now that they've had some success with the movies, they can, you know, regain their pride and make some really top tier games. But my initial view on it, just looking at it, isn't hopeful. All right, so that's it for. But like, I guess let me try and wrap it together. Like the 3D games, like they're just not the same as the 2D games. And I kind of wish they would focus more back on 2D, because I think a lot of 2D gameplay is still just as viable and just as fun. I guess the only issue is, like, even if like you look at the Vision of Mana trailer, you just don't get, when you look at like gameplay and stuff, like it seems like more and more people are kind of like addicted to spectacle. And like when you look at like a 2D game, you don't quite get, you know, the sort of spectacle you do with the 3D game. Like you can look in the background, look at all trees and there's ruins in the background, or oh look, you're underwater, look at all these columns and stuff. You know, it looks fancy. It looks like there's this big area to explore and people enjoy that. When you look at, say, like, you know, Shinobi, let's see, Shinobi, I mean, they're pretty backgrounds, but nothing quite like it. You know, it feels a lot more restricted to one screen when you have these views like this, either that or top down. So you don't have the same level of spectacle. And maybe that is one of the reasons that you don't see as many 2D games versus 3D games, despite the fact that I think a lot of 3D games, like I said, are super generic. And the gameplay, like this fight scene doesn't look good. It's like, oh, I jumped over bubbles, or like earlier, like, oh, like what? Let's see. Oh, this guy appeared. He jumped over a tentacle. Whoa, that's crazy. Wait, how is he going to dodge an S attack? Oh, he just double jumped over that too. Like that is a lot of this. A lot of these 3D games that allow you to jump is literally just double jumping over every obstacle and then attacking. I think that's one thing that's smart that Monster Hunter does. If you play, you know, a Monster Hunter game, a lot of times, you know, beyond the insect glaive, they don't allow you to jump. And even when you can jump, the height isn't big enough, or their attacks are big enough that they'll still hit you. So like you actually have to dodge and think about where you're dodging and where the attack is going, so you don't get hit. And a lot of games, like especially the RPGs, stuff that lean on that heavily, don't do that enough to actually like make the gameplay interesting and like for people to actually think about what they need to do. Or like people have been, let's see, I don't know if I can find it. Let me see. Let me look off screen if I can find Spider-Man. Look, I see people talking about Spider-Man 2, how it didn't win any game awards. Let's see. I need to bring. Let's see if I can find something of Spider-Man 2 gameplay. People are ragging on Spider-Man 2 right now because they didn't like I personally don't care too much about the too much about what's going on with Spider-Man 2. I've never liked the Spider-Man games. Like they look like they're kind of like GTA, where it's like a fun sandbox game to play, mess around, swing your webs, but the combat itself. Let's see. I was looking on Twitter. Let's see if they I can't really find any good Spider-Man gameplay. Oh wait, here we go. Here we go. I found it here. Bring it over. Here's Spider-Man 2 gameplay.
More of you who hit the reinforcements button.
Oh. You just fly around, slow-mo, swing to more guys. Oh no, there's a counter move. Let me see. I think there's some funny reactions to it. I don't know if I don't know, maybe it was a quote tweet to this with the infamous Batman. Yeah, here we go. The Batman Arkham Asylum gameplay. I love these. We're literally just mashing the counter button and taking 0 damage. And this is why I hate a lot of the games like Spider-Man, Arkham City, that kind of stuff. Look visually impressive, but this combat's awful. Absolutely awful. Like, if you can literally just spam counter all the time, then what's the point? Just terrible gameplay. But that's sort of it for the topics. I don't know if anyone wanted to bring in their own opinions on it. Feel free. The other section I'm going to do right now is games I've been playing. Let's see. Let me bring this over. I should have prepared a thing for it. But Monster Hunter Now, games I've been playing lately. Monster Hunter Now, it came out with a major update. The sort of winter update, and they actually fixed a lot of issues with the game. I'm actually really impressed. They added 2 new weapons to the game. That right now, of course, they haven't had all the stuff. They're adding Zin Ogre along with 3 other monsters.
Of Monster Hunter Now is here.
Oh, it's here. Zin Ogre, obviously very cool monster. I hate Barioth. Some 4-wheel monsters, added the dual blades, added the lance. Don't really play either, but very cool to see them adding new weapons in. I don't know if we're ever going to get the switch axe, which is my main in Monster Hunter. But right now I've been enjoying the hammer. They fixed most of the issues with the hammer. Most of the issues I had with playing the game, as far as the combat, used to be like with hammer, one of the big things is stun the enemies. And they just had, if you managed to stun them, you'd get constantly interrupted by heart breaks and other things. Vastly improved it. The other game I've been playing is the one right here, Blue Revolver. Super fun shmup game. I'm still trying to 1cc it. That's like when you do a 1 continue clear. In this game, they actually don't let you. They don't let you beat the game. You can enable free play where you can just continue through and go to the game, to the end of the game. But if you don't, but you still have to unlock the free play mode, so they make you earn it, and you don't necessarily have to do that. So I'm kind of trying to not use continues to get to the end of the game. That way, I'll kind of be rewarded with the end of the game, seeing the credits, by being able to do it without using that. But that's, just a challenge I put on myself. But this has been very enjoyable, and the graphics are pretty good. I like this sort of special system they have in here, where you can use the special meter in the bottom of the screen to help you kill tough enemies. And they have like a flurry system, like you use this to gain points. Once you reach an 8 chain on these enemies. Ooh, got an autobomb there. You get more points. And as you get more points, you get more credits. Of course, and with these shmups, like points for like more of the better players. You can't really do a speed run. You go for points. Let's see who can get the most points. Which I think is like a cool system that kind of got lost in the wayside for a lot of games. They're not really based off score, but rather speed running now. Which honestly, one of the issues with speed running is like, when you look at a lot of like these high level speed runs, they almost always like skip huge portions of the game. Like the lowest run, I mean, they do have 100% runs, but a lot of the game is basically about ends up being like glitching through a bunch of stuff or like sequence breaking, which is cool to watch for a few times. Because like, oh wow, this game looks completely different. But you almost always miss huge portions of the game. And sometimes, honestly, when I was speedrunning Freedom Planet, like some of the portions you got to skip, like I was kind of glad to skip them because they were annoying, but still, with score, you actually do have to like play. It's almost like you have to play the game the way it was intended and a lot better, you know, at like the highest level. So actually, I think some people with this game, I shouldn't really, I don't know if I should say that because I think a lot of them use glitches to get high scores too. So maybe in the end of the day, it's really, the game can only, challenge for high score can only be good as the developer can program it. And sometimes glitches actually do, they do make the game more fun. Those are the games I'm playing. Not as much. I haven't had much time lately to play them, sadly. Ooh, auto shield. But I can... Pattern's not like terribly difficult. But it can get you if you're not paying attention. Man, I guess that's it. I thought it would actually be longer, but this is sort of the first iteration of this. I was hoping it'd be about an hour, but kind of guess I went through the topics a little bit quicker than I thought I would. Maybe I should have put in more stuff, more stuff than I thought. I was like, oh man, I got so many things to talk about. But turns out I didn't. Oh, actually, there was an issue I failed to mention. Let's see. Bring this up. Actually, because it wasn't on my thing. This is Team Darkside. They're a popular Monster Hunter speedrunner. Apparently, Capcom has decided to take a really big stance against mods. They're pissed off. There was a recent incident, let's see. Let me see if I can find it on YouTube. It's pretty funny. There was a nude mod. Let's see if I can find it here. Let me bring this over. Oh shit, I don't want to show it. I should have looked at that first. How do you get away with on YouTube on that? Hold on a second. Let me find an actual, like... Let me find an actual, one that censored it properly. Oh, okay. I think this guy actually censored it. This is a live tournament. This is a few months ago. Where, whoever was fucking hosting it left their Chung-Li nude mod on. I don't think they realized it at first either. Let me see if the...
Kimberly. Yeah, that's a very interesting Chung-Li costume there.
Costume recently released, so yeah, I'll see about
that. Yeah, they're trying to play it off. Fucking great.
Well, sorry to keep you entertained.
Yeah, it just keeps you guys in mind. Street Fighter 6 is an 18+ game, as you guys can see. That's
that was quite what. I don't know how you managed to do that, but that's got to be embarrassing for whoever was hosting that tournament. Clearly enjoys some mods for his game, but this is kind of one of the reasons I think Capcom has decided to take a harder stance against mods. Of course, like you look at, I'm not going to show you, but go over to Nexus mods and look at like mods for stuff like stuff like a Resident Evil 4 remake, you know, even like stuff like Monster Hunter. I mean, there's always been like nude mods, which is kind of par for the course with these games. But also they have stuff like, and one of the things that Team Darkside was mentioned is that there's like certain speedrunning mods, especially with Monster Hunter, since there's randomness where the monster spawns, rather than like try to do it like a million times, they have mods that will get you that exact spawn point every time, so you can kind of do the run with more consistency. It just makes it easier for them to sort of do these runs, which to me seems perfectly fine. It's not like it's not like really cheating in any way. But I guess, you know, there's also the arguments like you have to use mods at that point and just play it on PC. It is an advantage over, say, like a Switch user if you're playing Sunbreak. But unfortunately for people making content with, you know, Capcom and Monster Hunter, Capcom is just copyright striking everything, like auto. I don't know if it's like sort of like an auto report system. Like anything that mentions using mods, which they kind of do to sort of it's kind of like transparency to let people know that what mods they're using for their runs. And like 1,000 Kezu runs, this video shows a run of players using the shadow boxing gesture to kill Kezu. Didn't even have modding argumentations, but, you know, they mentioned mods in the stuff. And then there are like, and of course they do make sort of like these for fun videos where they do use like hacked gear or, you know, modded gear to kind of like do the highest damage possible in the game. Yeah. Let's say I think the problem is like Dream didn't mention it. I think is the issue with the with his stuff is, and I guess that's, you know, I think the sort of Capcom speedrun community have come to an agreement that it's okay to kind of use it. There are certain, you know, levels of RNG that they'd rather just get rid of. That way it's just not like because I mean, at that point, like, I think you just have to reset the mission if you don't have the best, you know, spawn possible. And that might be what they have to do. So in order to kind of get around that, they just use a fixed monster spawn mod. Which to me, like, obviously, like, I think the community can come to certain agreements on like what their gentleman agreements on what they're going to use and what they aren't for certain speedruns. There are definitely ways to just make it a lot more enjoyable to speedrun the game. And there's another mod that she was fixed monster HP. So the other thing that happens in Monster Hunter is, depending on how large the monster is, you can get a high HP value or a low HP value. So basically making it fixed. That way everyone's competing on the same level, you know, with the same, like the same spawn, the same HP, that kind of stuff. But I mean, they do kind of go into Capcom's new starting channel's existence. But there's actually been people that were just like got like auto copyright striked out of existence, which is, I don't understand why YouTube lets that happen. Like, if all of a sudden, like, a lot of your old videos just get copyright striked, they immediately take it down. To me, that's ridiculous. Especially since it was never a problem before. Like, Capcom allowed this stuff to happen. And then all of a sudden they decided, hey, we hate mods, so we're just going to attack it. Capcom, obviously, I don't understand why they're decided this was a good idea. And hopefully they'll reverse this. But it's really sad to see when both YouTube and, of course, you know, with Capcom, a lot of this, again, social media is a huge part of how they market. And then just to attack the people that are essentially marketing for free for you, it's ridiculous. They mention it. I used a non for safe Chung Li mod, a positive impact. So like there was some reasons. And then of course, you know, there are, you know, if you're you could mod to get, maxed out augments. They're like really high RNG, max out everything. And then, people that play on Switch, could never get stuff like that because they don't have that. And then there are visual mods that could potentially, I don't understand this damage reputation stuff. If it's, a fan mod that they did themselves, like Capcom clearly didn't make it. But I guess Capcom's thinking to themselves, like, all right, if people like see this, they're going to think Capcom approved it for some insane reason. I don't understand why. But especially nowadays where I think people are more and more aware of these things, it's not like some small community. It's become, video games become bigger and bigger and bigger. I think the general awareness that you can mod stuff to allow different things on it, and that it's not necessarily approved by the makers, has become, I don't know if it's completely commonplace, probably not, but still, it's ridiculous to see this happen. And it's sad to see like people getting, channels that are really well known, make really good content, getting hit. Because like I use mods for stuff like Minecraft, like free cam mod. Not necessarily a thing is skins and gameplay. There's also like some useful stuff for like cameras, remove the hoods. There's a lot of, like I said, a lot of good stuff for making videos that you can use with mods. And they do have these on stuff like Sunbreak and other Monster Hunter games as well. Again, sad to see that Capcom decided with this. Hopefully they'll reverse the decision if they get enough backlash. I think it's ridiculous. We'll see though. I think Nexus is still allowing still hosting these mods. I don't know if they went to attack let's see. Far I can see. I mean, Street Fighter still has mods up on Nexus. So they're really just attacking YouTube videos? To me, that's ridiculous. I just want to go after YouTubers, hardworking YouTubers. Just trying to make a living. Yeah. All right, guys. I think that's kind of it. I've reached the hour. So thank you for joining me. Let me give me some feedback on this too, by the way. I feel like there's probably a lot of ways I could make this a little smoother in transition. It's the my first time trying it. So let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.